All right, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a health conversation, and remember, this is the 8th of July, 2025. And in understanding, of course, the context on a healthy diet and nutrition, we are inviting nutrition expert, of course, to help us understand how can we shape our diet. There is a problem with the diet right here in the Republic, and of course, because of the economic situation, there is a problem to really embrace that there is a fact that we need the vegetables, the fruits, and of course, we also need some water in our houses every time. Remember the conversation on 8 glasses a day. I don't know if we are achieving that to the betterment, but we'll get to understand that. There is also a problem that is coming in, of course, constipation, which now needs to be taken into consideration. Drinking more fluids, eating more high fiber foods, and getting regular exercise may help to relieve constipation, and using stool softeners and laxatives, of course, will help us understand the context on constipation. If you're joining us for the first time, is there a problem in your diet? And of course, do you need help in the nutrition that is required and the nutrients that is required in your food? So if you're joining us, remember we are live across all social media platforms, Lookup TV on YouTube, Facebook, and our website. Allow us now to invite our guest to introduce himself, then we can roll it down.
Thank you, Moses. My name is Crispus Kinyua. I'm a clinical nutritionist, registered, and I'm also a food justice advocate.
Amazing.
I'm the founder of 2 organizations. One is a business called Tofali Nutrition, where we are offering nutrition consultancies for different conditions, and also we manufacture weight gain supplements, which we call Power Paste. My other organization is a non-profit called IFJAD. IFJAD stands for the Institute for Food Justice and Development.
Amazing.
Where we are working at the intersection of food justice and development, promoting the right to food, and also championing or advancing the rights, the dignity, and the livelihoods of food workers. Yes.
All right. Why do you speak about justice in food?
Justice is a very important name now, where we are going through so many issues of violations of rights.
Indeed.
And so when it comes to the issue of food and food systems, we do lack justice in food in many ways, from the farmer level to the consumer level. All those issues that we always feel are not good are issues of justice, and it's really important for us to continue having dialogues around them and also action around them, so that we can fix these issues. For instance, you know that there are so many adulterated products, food products in the market, and some of them actually, as you consume them, they hurt our health. So that's an issue of justice or injustice. You know, for instance, if you go and look for pishori right now in the market, you will not find the genuine pishori. It's very difficult. It's connections.
Indeed.
You know, even honey, milk, you know, and many other products. When you go to the issues of food safety now, issues of pesticide residues in our food, the fact that our foods are being grown with a lot of sometimes even sewage water. So all these issues are things that we are trying to advocate for, because everyone has a right to safe and nutritious food.
But there's also the aspect on self-injustice towards our intakes. Will you also address that, rather than, of course, the surrounding has that effect? But there is also injustice, the fact that we are not taking water so much, the fact that we like smocha so much. You know, this kind of foods that disrupt the digestion, which now results to the injustice to our body as well.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Moses. The issue of self-injustice, because a lot of us are not very keen on what to eat. Unfortunately, we don't see food as an investment. Yet we are supposed to see food as an investment. Someone says that if someone is not sick, everything else seems to be a problem. But when you fall ill, your health becomes your only problem, and everything else becomes sort of muted. So I believe that we need to really invest in our health. And investing in our health means investing in the food that we take consciously, because there's something we call food literacy. which is also what we're advocating for. That people need to know food, learn food from how it's grown and up to how it is at your table, you know, because the lack of food literacy is what is driving what you're calling self-injustice, that someone will eat anyhow, especially now the street food, that some of it is not being prepared very well, you know, with attention to food safety. So I believe that people need to keep learning and becoming food literate, consciously choosing to learn food beyond something that will make you full or make you satisfied in the stomach. Learn about food because whatever you eat really has an effect on your body. There's this thing we used to say, garbage in, garbage out. So when you eat garbage, then your body will not become very well. And you know, we are having a lot of problems with non-communicable diseases already in our country, very, very many of them. And probably also to mention that there's been a problem in this country of people ignoring things. You tell a Kenyan, for us as nutritionists, you know, we keep educating people on food, but Kenyans will tell you, you know, we've been eating these things for many years, but we are okay. Our parents have been eating these things. So unfortunately, now that argument we will not hold waters, because we are seeing a sharp rise in non-communicable diseases in this country. And so Kenyans need to be wiser, more intentional about what they're eating, you know, because of that.
Of course. And later in the years, all right, maybe early, we were having the benefit of you just taking ugali and mboga without even fruits or any other thing in addition, but you looked healthy. But in this situation, as we speak right now, if a family the entire week takes that, there seems to be a problem with their skin. There seems to be a problem. I do not understand what had changed for us to get to that point.
Yeah, there are two things there. One of it is the fact that our food is increasingly becoming unsafe.
All right.
As time goes by. Whatever is happening right now in this country in terms of the Gen Z and the protests and the killing of people anyhow, reflects a societal shift from a time where we sort of valued human life to a point where killing is just, you know, the order of the day right now.
So shifted to health?
Shifts. Even in health, the same thing happening.
Okay.
That people would rather make money than protect the safety of the people. I would rather make money from maize that is contaminated with aflatoxin rather than just, you know, respect and protect the health of these consumers. So this ugali that you're talking about right now, you know, aflatoxins are a big problem in this country. A lot of maize coming from all over, like Uganda, especially with the border. And there are challenges with checking for aflatoxin, for instance, a very present and real threat in this country. With the sukuma, you have mentioned pesticides and sewage growing the food. So the sukuma will be grown with sewage as the irrigation, for irrigation, and they sprayed with very toxic pesticides. When people consume it, what happens? You become ill. Some of these, in fact, it's good you've mentioned, because the last, I think, 2 weeks, we saw PCPB withdrawing and banning several pesticides, about 50 of them. And it's good because there has been a lot of pressure from civil society for the government to ban these toxic pesticides that have real effects like cancer. Some of them cause cancer, some of them are genotoxic, some of them affect the reproductive system, some of them are endocrine disruptors, well known, but somehow they have been used to what? To grow our food. So so I would say yes, our food is increasingly becoming unsafe, and so there is a need for families, for households to be very intentional about where they are sourcing their food.
And someone decided now, because ugali and sukuma doesn't slap that much, acha niongeze protein ya mayai hivi. Then also, do you think now because we are in the position here and we are unsafe, that means if we add this and this and that, we are more unsafe?
Yeah, adding now eggs brings another layer to the problem.
Eggs, of course, now contaminated.
Yes, yes. With now the antibiotics from the chicken
The same
farmers.
applies to meat as well.
And the meat and all that. So this conversation about food safety is quite serious. By the way, there's these two sides of nutrition. There's that issue of nourishing people eating for their bodies to benefit.
All right.
But there's also that issue of safety, that food shouldn't just be food to fill your body and to remove the hunger, but it should also be safe, because there's this slogan that we say, not safe, not food. If something you're eating is not safe, then it is not food you are eating. And many of us are not eating food nowadays. You're taking something to fill your stomach, but it's not food.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, chapodondo.
Chapodondo is a very good snack. Everyone likes it. I love it myself. I love it myself. And let's not also confuse. Not every food is also unsafe, right? So there's also a lot of the food, also even in the street, that is also safe, because what happens is that unsafe food is an issue of ethics. That someone is not doing something.
All right.
You get? So there are people who are actually making very good, healthy food, and chapodondo is also one of those very good snacks. That is actually a lot of people are depending on it for survival, because it's very cheap actually. I think it's actually probably the cheapest food, I think, in the streets. So it's really good. Just that now the issue of safety needs to also be addressed.
All right. When of course we get through the conversation, we'll understand now how do we select healthy food, and of course how do we also choose safe foods as well. So when we speak about healthy diet, then what do we mean?
That's a great question. Healthy diet means healthy. Healthy means something that is making you wholesome, and health is about wholesomeness, both physical, mental, and whatever, and spiritual, and all that. So healthy food is food that is going to build your body and build it positively. So in the world of nutrition, there are food groups, or what you call categories of food. There are food that provide you energy, others build your body, which are called proteins. There are vitamins, there are minerals. So healthy food is food that is actually meeting the needs of your body. Right? Without providing excesses or without being short. Because again, it can either be too much or too little. So it is food that is adequate, it is food that is balanced, it is food that is diverse, and food that is also affordable to you. So healthy food is that basically, that it will help you to thrive, and to become, to thrive basically.
All right. Some of your friends out there, they are really trying as much as possible to put a plate on the table and make sure that this is healthy initiation and a healthy diet as well. So if I'm waking up in the morning, so how should my healthy diet be, as far as the morning, the afternoon, and of course the evening? Because they say that si lazima ukule asubuhi, but you can package yourself maybe in the afternoon vizuri, then usiku you just do a slice kidogo tu, or pia some will say that you can struggle the entire day, then in the evening you unleash.
Okay. Yeah, there are all sorts of things, and one of the things I really struggle with personally as a food advocate, as a food justice advocate, or a food activist, is that there are so many nutritionists out there. Like everyone these days is a nutritionist, and they are peddling a lot of misinformation around nutrition. The professional nutritionist will actually tell you that you're not supposed to skip meals. But I know out there, everyone is like 1 meal a day, or 2 meals a day and whatnot. So ideally, your body has the requirements, recommended dietary allowances, or what you call RDS for the different nutrients, right? We have calories, we have proteins, we have vitamins, we have minerals, and so on and so forth. The problem of missing food or skipping food is that it promotes deficiencies. And while many people know only of hunger, the hunger over absence of food or undernourishment, there's another one we call hidden hunger, or what you call micronutrient deficiencies.
All right.
And we are seeing a lot of those, like anemia and many others in this country. So ideally, what I would do recommend as a nutritionist is that when you wake up, you're supposed to it's good to take water, yeah. And then you take 1 glass, 2 glasses, that is up to you. And then you take your breakfast. But now here's the problem. When we are giving advice, there's the advice you give in general, but there's the advice you give for specific people. Because the people we see are people with specific needs. For instance, someone who is obese or overweight will not be given the same advice as someone who is underweight or whatever. But in general, for someone who is the weight is okay and everything, you take your breakfast, and then you at 10 o'clock you do your snack, and then you do your lunch, and then a light lunch, of course. You don't need a lot of food, and then now you prepare for dinner. In between lunch and jioni, you can do a snack. As you go home, that mayai is also okay. You know, personally, I'm there promoting the food vendors, or the tea in the office, or water, juice, whatever, just the healthy ones. Ideally, that is, and then dinner again, not so heavy, not so heavy. So depending on the kind of work you do, so that's why I'm saying nutrition is really kind of broad. Mtu wa mjengo, someone working in the construction sector will not eat the same food as someone who is working in a nice office, like yourself. You may not benefit from the same food as someone working in the construction sector. You are supposed or someone who is working in an office should take those light meals, but again balanced. You get? And then
if I take heavy meals, would that be a problem?
Yes, there will be a problem. Yes, of obesity. Obesity, and we are seeing a lot of it right now. You know, with the middle class, and unfortunately also it's going to the lower income categories. Because traditionally we've been saying that middle class are the ones with the obesity problem in Kenya. Even people in the lower income groups are having a problem with obesity because of the street food, which is very high calorie. The mandazis, the chipomuitu, the indomie that anyone can afford, you get. So it's a problem with everybody nowadays. So heavy meals are not for everybody.
Right. I was thinking about watu ambao wanakula sana na bado ni wakonde. How that apply as well. So of course now food safety in Kenya is a growing concern, with various regulatory bodies and initiatives in place to address potential hazards throughout the food supply chain. And when you talked about we need this safety, I was thinking about how many people are investing in placing us in unhealthy diets. Then of course to enrich themselves in one way or the other. A production company imejitokeza tu pale, then producing things that maybe are harmful to many people out there, and that is why we're seeing this maugonjwa tu zinatokea. You wonder, where did this come from? So of course the key aspects of food safety are legislation and regulation. Do you think we are getting to that point when we speak about food safety? Is the government ensuring that we have a total regulatory design to make sure that we are curbing these things?
I would say yes and no. I would say, first of all, I'll start with no, because the fact that we've been seeing so many cases of food safety, or so many incidences of food safety, shows that the government has not been working very hard to stop them. And that I'll say yes again, because there has been a lot of efforts by the civil society, the non-profit sector, to push for stricter regulations by the government on food safety. So now you've mentioned that there's a rise of illnesses and diseases in Kenya, weird ones, especially with cancer now. You know, cancer has become, I think it's now top 3 in terms of mortality in Kenya, unlike many years back. And now you relate this with the kind of food that we are taking, that many of these problems are actually related to the food that we are taking. I would say that the government hasn't been doing the best. We could do better. And one of the threats has been an issue in now the food justice world we call colonization of food systems. I don't know whether you've heard of that term. Colonization of food systems refers to the capture. You see, back to colonial times, people came here and disrupted things, right? Disrupting both physically in terms of removing people from their land, but also capturing in terms of our identity and in terms of the practices that we used to have. We still have a lot of those effects, or what you call the legacies of colonialism in our food systems. In that we are not very proud of the foods that we were taking, the indigenous foods that were meant for us, and instead we are rushing for those other foods that are foreign, all right? In terms of how we also grow food, we are no longer proud of how we were growing food with little impact to the environment, little impact to climate, little impact to health. Instead, we are embracing these toxic chemicals that are brought by by the West. And we have a big problem with those ones, especially. Again, which shows, again, the problems of the colonized systems, hijacked systems. That some big manufacturer of pesticides would come to Kenya, probably bribe a few people here and there, and then those chemicals will come and we will eat them. You know, such things are quite unfortunate, and they show that we are still really far from the reality of safe food. Especially when we compare ourselves with some jurisdictions like Europe. Europe is very strict on food safety for the people. Amazing. Very, very strict. We still don't see a lot of that happening. But I think from time to time, I see CAFES going around testing fruits and vegetables and checking here and there for especially for pesticides. But beyond that, there are many other food safety hazards beyond pesticides, like the heavy metals, what we are seeing with the vegetables being grown with sewer water, you know. And there are aflatoxins, for instance. The peanuts sector, we still don't hear of reports that about the peanuts in our markets. And you know, our peanuts come from very far. Majority, I think over 90% of our peanuts come from Malawi. And the quality of, you know, the peanuts are really tricky because of aflatoxins also, you know that? So we don't know of those things. And you see, like now for some of us, like myself, what we are doing value addition in the peanut sector. One of the challenges has been that, actually, which has really slowed us down.
So Dr. It's of course a few minutes to winding up this session. Of course, Crispus, Kinyua, thank you so much for honoring the invite. And I believe we are receiving the basic empowerment towards healthy diet and nutrition. So when we get back to the next session, we'll be having an understanding on what are some of the challenges. If you have an healthy diet, what are some of the challenges that we encounter? And of course, also we are having the basis that if this is a diet, what are some of the nutrients that should be involved in that particular diet? So don't go too far. We'll be right back after this short break.